Okay, cool. It's actually working. So I figured I'd have a go at an absolute solo live stream because my wife is, I guess, 36 and weeks, 36 and a half weeks pregnant. I'm about to have kids at any moment, so I reckon YouTube might have to go on a slight hiatus. But I figured I enjoy watching so many live streams and dipping into them here and there. I'll give one a go, test the water. You know, I've done a live show before. I've been on around 30 minutes with Deluxe Baldwin, and me and Kato have our animation conversation show, which have actually been few and far between lately. My bad. I'm kind of renovating my house and obviously preparing for the imminent birth of my two twins. Same wave 1980. Long time no see indeed. I know I haven't made a video for I think like 3 weeks now. But as I said, I'm like super busy. But I figured I'd do Figure Force Unplugged, Q&A session, start a discussion. I've got some new toy joy that I can kind of give people a little preview of what my next video will be if I have a chance to make it within the next like 5 days. And if it does start to go tits up, I have something in the back pocket that I know I can talk about. So yeah, I might just ramble on until I have more than maybe like 2 people watching. But yeah, I just wanted to test it out and see how the live thing works. You know, I often watch the retro blasting live show, Hooded Cobra Commander. I'm always watching Deluxe and KO and all the guys that do live shows, and they just seem like so much fun. So yeah, videos will come in good time. I know I've got a couple of things on pre-order for sure that are coming in. I guess the end of October. I think I've got one thing pre-ordered that keeps getting pushed back. I think it's now being released in November. So by then, and then always going on toy hunts, not always successful, and then just thinking I actually can't afford this at all. So yeah, that's a little bit of preamble. Still only on 2 people, but then again, it's my first live stream, so at least there is some people tuning in to hear what I have to say. Kind of things that I figured I'd discuss is maybe Hasbro. Is Hasbro slightly... Am I losing a bit of disinterest? That doesn't even make sense. Am I getting a little bit of disinterest in Hasbro? Definitely with Transformers. I'm actually not buying any more Transformer toys. I've made that decision a good month ago that I just don't necessarily need any more Transformers. I've sold a load in the past few weeks just because I actually had too many in the collection, and I wanted to skim it down and just have the ones that I really want, and Transformers that mean something more personal to me. So I've sold a load, and it's given me some extra cash to get other toys. But I have been missing that thrill of owning a transforming toy, and that's what kind of led me on to the toy that I just picked up, which is a Robotech or Macross, depending on how you view it, Roy Foker's VF1 S. I absolutely adore Robotech and Macross. I have ultimate love for both of them, and both are very different. Is it Macross Plus from like the mid 2000s? Absolutely love that as well, and just everything about Robotech and Macross, pure enjoyment. And it transforms into, it's got the fighter, the Gerwalk, and the Batroid, or the Batloid, the Valkyrie, the Guardian, whatever you want to call it. And when I found out that these were getting rarer and rarer, I was just like, I need to get one now. And the fact of not wanting any more Transformers, but wanting that transforming toy, it feels all those things that I want from toy collecting. And I dig it. I've always loved the Skull Squadron deco, the white, yellow, and black. And the fact that it came with the strike armor, I had no idea that it was going to come with these extra bits. I was chatting to the guy, the toy collector, and he was based in like Singapore. And we got chatting, and I was talking about what I was interested in. He said, yeah, I need to offload this last one I have from the Valkyrie factory. And he said, like, I need to make way for Rick Hunter's version and the blue and the red ones. And he said, but it's got no instructions, and one of the fins down here was like damaged, but it's got no instructions, and I can sell it to you, and I'll do it at a much reduced price, but you're going to have to figure it out for yourself. And I was just like, oh, okay, I'll take a chance on a slightly broken toy and no instructions. But this thing was incredibly difficult to kind of figure out what went where without breaking it. The tolerances are ridiculously high. The plastic is like incredible. It's so good, considering this was, is it a knockoff, the Valkyrie factory that made ones so similar to the Arcadia and Yamato? I think it is a knockoff because, literally because of the price. But you wouldn't know. And I certainly was unsure. The fact that it came in like a plain box kind of gave it away that it pretty much was. But it's just absolutely stunning. I'm definitely going to do a whole video on it, and I can show you the different transformations and all the other parts. So what it does, as you can see, I haven't completely put it all together because I was fiddling around with it, and then I thought, I'm going to go live. But yeah, that is Roy Focus VF1S. Yeah, so still on 2 people. So anything in the chat, looking forward to seeing what you have on order. No Transformers for me at the moment. Nintendo Switch has currently been occupying most of my time. Hoping to go to Rollout Roll Call, see what they... Yeah, it's literally down the road for me as well. It's only in Fordingbridge, which is, it's just literally, I think it's like probably half an hour on the train or something. But with 2 kids coming, I sadly can't go. I'd love to go because I just absolutely love G.I. Joe, and I know there'd be a whole slew of G.I. Joe and Action Force that I'd love to get. So yeah, I haven't been to a convention for ages. Last time I went to something kind of bigger was the NEC Toy Fair. I hit up Totten Toy Fair a couple of months ago, and that was awesome. And that was only in like one little room. So yeah, that's kind of what I've picked up as of late. I've got a couple of things that I definitely want to get. I made a little wish list of a couple of action figures. So yeah, I'd like to pick up some of the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. That kind of leads me back onto the Hasbro kind of chat that I alluded to, I don't know if I want Hasbro to keep making the same Transformers characters over and over again. I just don't want another Hound. I don't want another Ironhide. I kind of want something a bit new and exciting. Also, what are they doing with Star Wars? The vintage collection just doesn't seem, is it the vintage or the retro collection? They just seem to have not even kind of pushed it. And then there was the debacle with Hasbro Pulse and Boba Fett. You know, again, I've lost a bit of interest in Star Wars. They don't go anywhere near G.I. Joe. What is Hasbro doing for a collector like me? Sadly, not much at all. But it looks like they're absolutely killing it with the Lightning collection. I've got to get me a pink Power Ranger. I'd love the Green Ranger with the putty. They look like some seriously cool action figures to own. And I never had Power Rangers as a kid. I loved the show. Absolutely, when I was 15, when it must have come out 93-ish. It absolutely blew my mind. I'd never even seen a Super Sentai show before. So just absolutely blew me away. And I'd love to get a toy representation of a couple of my favourite characters. I've seen that they're going to do a Goldar. Lord Zed's pretty much sold out everywhere. But yeah, I'd like to get a pink Power Ranger. So yeah, a couple of thoughts on Hasbro. But yeah, still only on 2. Oh well, I can figure out that obviously Soundwave 980, James is in the chat. I have no idea who the other person is. Man, pop in the chat. Ask me a question. Otherwise, I'm going to be literally rambling here and there. And I might have to go back to my fallback option, which is, I find it hilarious because I hadn't thought about this for a long time. Back in 1988, I wrote a plot synopsis and I did a cast for the proposed Centurions movie that I did. I wrote, a beginning, a middle, and an end, and I chose all these actors to be in it, and I called it, the Centurions movie. And then I remember scribbling it out and calling it Centurions, the Theme Park of Terror. And I think it was about 4 or 5 sheets of A4 paper, double-sided obviously, of this cast list, the weapon systems that Centurions have, and a whole plot with certain plot devices and bits of script. So yeah, take it easy, James. So we're 980. Go enjoy your dinner. So yeah, the Centurions Theme Park of Terror. And what cracks me up is that I put a lot of time and energy into this movie, picking out what weapon systems each of the 3 characters would have, and a little bit of a backstory to how they got made and how Doc Terror became Doc Terror, because he was all going to be, just called his normal doctor name, and how he makes HaHaHa. And so yeah, let's start with the cast list. So Doc Terror would have been played by Leonard Nimoy. HaHaHa, his sidekick, would have been played by a guy called Michael Berryman. You guys might know, all horror fans might know Michael Berryman from The Hills Have Eyes, and he was also in Weird Science. He plays one of the motorbikers that interrupt the party that they have in Weird Science. He was in quite a few 80s horror movies, late 70s horror movies, and he looks like HaHaHa. Because this is like 1988, I was choosing actors that looked like they did on, in the cartoon. So I'd also chosen Amber, who was Doc Terror's daughter, was Kim Cattrall, because I'd seen her in a couple. I think it was like a Star Trek movie, and I'd seen Mannequin. So I thought she would have made a really good Amber, his daughter, who's kind of not as bad as him. She's very much kind of. I think she had some sort of love interest in Ace McLeod or Jake Rockwell. So she would have played this kind of alter ego to try and convince them that she wasn't who she was. And then to the Centurions. So obviously you got Max Ray, Ace McLeod, Jake Rockwell, and Crystal Kane. So Max Ray was obviously going to be Tom Selleck because he had a mustache and black hair. And he also had quite the physique after watching Magnum and watching a film called Runway. So I chose him as that. Jake Rockwell was going to be played by Kurt Russell, because I absolutely loved Kurt Russell as a kid and still do. John Carpenter is one of my favourite directors of all time. The thing is, with this movie plot thing that I'd done for Centurions, I didn't even think about a director. I didn't really kind of know, directors of movies when I was a kid, when I was like a 10-year-old planning this movie. But yeah, I love Kurt Russell in Big Trouble in Little China and Escape from New York. So I just thought he was the perfect part for Jake Rockwell. And then Ace McLeod was going to be played by Val Kilmer, because I've seen Val Kilmer in in that one, Willow. And I'd seen him in a couple of other movies, in Top Gun. And Crystal Kane, who was up in Skyvault, the space station that houses all the weapon systems. She was going to be played by Joanne Wally Kilmer, because I'd seen them both in the movie Willow, and because she had ginger hair, I was just like, oh, Crystal Kane has got ginger hair, they're perfect. And then they can have, like, because I found out that they were married, I was just like, oh, they can have a kind of allude to a relationship on the screen as part of the movie. And then here's where it gets like the childlike innocence of a 10-year-old writing a movie. Shadow was going to be in it, and also Lucy, the orangutan. And that was because I'd seen Any Which Way But Loose with Clint Eastwood, and I knew that orangutans could act. And I'd seen them in, I think, Cannibal Run 2. There was an orangutan in there, so I knew that they could get, an orangutan to play Lucy. And, I'd seen Lassie and The Littlest Hobo, and, I don't know if White Fang was out then, but the idea that Shadow would be in there. So yeah, that was my cast list for this movie. And then, so if we get to the introduction, you'd see like a flashback to Doc Terror making all these weapons and all the suits, and he was partners with a big company, and he'd built all these weapon systems for this, I think had some sort of corporation, and he enlists the help of Max Ray, Ace McLeod, and Jake Rockwell, because they all had the right kind of skill set. And he kind of employed them because they were ex-military, but they also had like a hobby, another like pursuit. So Max Ray was an ex like naval officer, but he was now like a marine biologist, so that's why he was good with the water-based kind of bits. And Ace McLeod was obviously in the Air Force, but left and was, like a stunt plane acrobat, flying all different types of planes. So that's why, he was good in the air and a bit more cocky. And then Jake Rockwell, I think I had him as like a Navy SEAL, or I had him as a SWAT team member. So that's why he was really good at ground assault. But I think God, it's been so long. I can't actually remember what his other pursuit was, but that's why because he was a SWAT. But I think he was like retired at an early age. And he rescued Shadow. That was the thing. I had him as he'd rescued Shadow in some sort of mission, and they became best friends and partners. So yeah, Dog Terror had employed those guys to test out these weapon systems and these suits that he'd created. But then, as all things happen in these movies, a huge catastrophe goes down, and Dog Terror gets disfigured and obviously becomes a madman and becomes the villain. I hadn't written like any sort of backstory to him. It's just that something bad happens and it made him a villain. So he then chooses to take over the world, and it is the Centurions that have all the equipment, that tweak it to their own beings and start to kind of build the team of Centurions. So that was like the first part of the movie, telling that backstory. And then like the middle part was them kind of learning how to use all these weapon systems, fighting some crimes, doing some bits and pieces, when his daughter Amber decides to, I think she pretends to be a reporter to find some intel on the Centurions. And at that same point, Dr. HaHaHa and his daughter are creating this theme park, but it's all a big elaborate ploy to get the Centurions into this theme park where there's loads of civilians, and it's going to kind of become this huge trap to take out the Centurions, and that would have been the final act. So you'd get to see all of the different vehicles and weapon systems in action as they save lives and take down all the bad guys and the henchmen and Doc Terror in the setting of a theme park. And I think I'd written something where it was going to be Shadow that saved the day. So Crystal was going to, I think all of the Centurions had been beaten and they'd got like one weapon system left, and the only person available to use it was Shadow. So Shadow ends up getting weaponized and takes down Doc Terror. So that was my plot for my proposed Centurions movie from 1988. The absolute mind of a child, or because I played with 8-inch action figures and watched the Centurions on a Saturday morning with my cereal. So much so that I wanted to write a 6-page double-sided plot synopsis and cast thing. I don't think I ever wrote a movie again after that. I'd love to know where those bits of paper are. They might be like saved in my dad's loft or something, or somewhere. If I can ever think of other plot things I had inside that movie, I'll speak about it again, but that's pretty much the absolute gist of it. Oh, hey, KO, thanks for coming up. Bye. It's literally just been me chatting about a Centurions movie that I wrote. By all means, KO, if you want to go live with an animation conversation in like 5 minutes, we can do. You know, I'm free and I'm here for like another half an hour, 45 minutes. So I can call this live streamer a day. You know, it's just a little test to see how it goes. And there's only pretty much 3 people watching. Let me know. No worries. We can. Well, I'm gonna say we can hook up another time, but time is slightly running out for me in terms of YouTube time. Anyways, I've pretty much been on for half an hour talking without any plan. I'm thinking maybe next time if I do this, I'm going to come with a bit more of a robust plan for going live. Anyways, thanks to the people. Yeah, time is running out. I think my wife's going to give birth at any moment in the next few days, 5 days maybe. So yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Thanks, KO. Thanks for coming in. Really appreciate that. So yeah. Thanks for watching. Always remember that toys and cartoons they're not just for kids. They're for all ages. So now you know. And knowing is half the battle.